Hi friends, Dirk here. Today we're comparing the Viltrox 20mm f2.8 to the Sony 20mm f1.8. We'll take a look at the price, build quality, features and functions, sharpness, chromatic aberrations and vignetting, the focus, as well as the bokeh and the image quality. And at the end of the video we'll have a total point summary and you can find out which of these two lenses is right for you. So let's start with the price. The Viltrox 20mm f2.8 retails at $176. On the contrary, the Sony 20mm f1.8 retails at $898. That's a big difference and definitely a point for the Viltrox. Build quality. I think Viltrox's objective with this lens was to make a travel-friendly lightweight. Therefore, the build quality is not premium. The Sony is a G lens, and that is one step before the GM lens. It is a beautiful, solid construction. It is weather and dust sealed, and it is coated so you can easily get rid of fingerprints. So overall, a fantastic build quality. Yes, it is much larger and also much heavier compared to the Viltrox, but for what it is, I'll take it. Point for the Sony. Features and functions. The Viltrox is a relatively easy lens. It has only one focus ring. It's an electronic focus ring and that goes okay. And here at the mount we have a USB-C port to update the firmware. The Sony 20mm f1.8 is packed with features. We have a focus hold button, we have an MF/AF switch, we get a very smooth going focus ring, we have an aperture ring and a switch so we can decide if the aperture ring is clicking or if it's going silent and smooth. Point for the Sony. So let's talk about sharpness. The Viltrox 20mm f2.8 has a really good center sharpness, already wide open, but the corners don't look good. Also, if we're stopping it down, even at a 5.6, the corners become more usable, but they're not great. It's a different story if we're attaching this lens to an APS-C camera, then we have a much better sharpness in the center as well as in the corners. The Sony 20mm f1.8 has a fantastic center sharpness, wide open, and already at f1.8 is sharper than the Viltrox lens. Also the corners look much better and usable compared to the Viltrox, so this is definitely a point for the Sony. If you're in the market to buy a 20mm lens and you would use one of my affiliate links, I would really appreciate this. Chromatic aberrations and vignetting. I'm really pleased to tell you that neither of these lenses have real issues with CAs. The Sony is a little bit better than the Viltrox, but overall the images coming out of either of these lenses are fantastic. It's a different story with vignetting. Oh hi! Now it's a different story with vignetting. The Viltrox produces much stronger vignetting compared to the Sony, and we have to stop it down to f5.6 to get rid of the vignetting. Of course, again, attached to an APS-C camera, it's so much better, but we're comparing it on a full-frame camera and therefore it's definitely a point for the Sony. So let's talk about the focus. I was very surprised to find that the Viltrox 20mm f2.8 was a bit snappier in photo mode compared to the Sony. They both focus nice, they both focus well, but it was faster and easier with the Viltrox. Therefore, point for the Viltrox. In video mode it's a different story, because the stepper motor here on the Viltrox was not completely silent. It was very snappy, aggressively snappy, but honestly I prefer the smooth and completely quiet focus in video mode coming here from the Sony 20mm f1.8. Therefore, point for the Sony. When I wanted to test the focus breathing on both lenses, I was really surprised to see that my Sony a7C Mark II did not work well with the Sony lens and sometimes did not even respond to focus. So I had to update the firmware to the latest version and then it worked much better. After finally being able to complete my test, I have to say both lenses have a light focus breathing, but it's a bit more severe on the Sony lens, and therefore I have to give the point to the Viltrox. When it comes to manual focusing, the plastic focus ring here on the Viltrox is not going 100% smooth. We have a little bit of a grinding issue and it's not really perfect. It's not bad. It's whining on a very high level, but it's not perfect. On the contrary, the focus ring here on the Sony goes so smooth and so quiet and gives you a perfect manual focusing experience, and therefore point for the Sony. Bokeh. The Viltrox produces a very busy bokeh and oddly shaped bokeh balls. So I was not really impressed by the bokeh coming from the Viltrox 20mm f2.8. It is okay, but just okay. The Sony has an unfair advantage because we have a much faster aperture. We have f1.8 versus 2.8 on the Viltrox, and the bokeh balls are perfect and the bokeh is very smooth and creamy. Point for Sony. So let's talk about the overall image quality. Because of its size and weight, I took the Viltrox 20mm f2.8 on my trip to Germany and I was not disappointed at all. Did I get the perfect picture? No, I didn't. But the image quality was good enough and justifiable given the size and the weight of this lens. The Sony 20mm f1.8 actually deserves the GM title because its image quality is simply mind-blowing. It is so fantastic in every single aspect: colors, contrast, bokeh, you name it. So this is definitely a point for the Sony. To sum up my review, the Viltrox was better in 3 categories and therefore has 3 points. The Sony was superior over the Viltrox in 8 different categories and therefore 8 points for the Sony. So what's the conclusion? If you're on a budget or if you're looking for a perfect travel companion, well then the Viltrox won't disappoint. It is a really good lens and it gives you a decent image quality, good colors, good contrast, and for $176 you can't go wrong. If you want the best of the best and you can justify the price, well then go for the Sony by any means. It has the much better build, excellent features, and it gives you an image quality without any compromises. If you liked the video, leave a thumbs up or hit the subscribe button for more videos on my channel. YouTube thinks you should watch this video next. Till the next time, stay safe, stay tuned and take care. Bye for now.